With regionals happening this Saturday at Bandai Fest, I wanted to talk about today how you should prepare for regionals and larger events. What's up guys, it's Garrett with Talking Cards, and I'm here today with my friend Ben Ferris. And if you follow the channel, you should know Ben pretty well by now. He's been in a couple of the videos, and today we're talking about something really cool. We're talking about how to prepare for regionals, and there's a reason we're talking about that for this week.
Yep.
Bandai Fest is here.
Yes, the first North American, at least, Gundam regionals. I'm not sure if there's been other regionals. I think maybe in Japan.
Yeah.
I think for the English version, maybe the first ones ever. So it's really exciting. It's gonna be an awesome event. Cardfest in general is gonna be an awesome time.
Yeah. And it's a great time because you have card players from all these Bandai games, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Digimon, Union Arena, now Gundam. And they're like, all the best players in all these games are there, and it's so hyped. The energy is great. You'll see like a Digimon finals and everyone getting hyped, and you might not even know how the game works.
Yeah, it's crazy. You'll see someone hit a burst, for example, in Digimon, and everyone just freaks out because it just changed the game. And it's like, that's crazy. But
yeah. So I think it's just really cool to like talk about like, how do you handle the hype? You know, how do you diagnose a meta? And then like, how do you test for a regional? You know, these are the type of questions I wanted to bring up and answer for you guys today so that you can kind of evolve from the new type challenges we're in right now. The new type challenge should give you a good idea of what it's like to play and compete for like some decent prize cards.
Yeah, exactly. A couple hundred for sure, like $500-600.
Yeah, and I mean, there's something on the line.
Exactly.
Right? It's more than just your locals winner card and some packs. Like there's something on the line. And that really is a good introduction to regionals.
I agree.
So let's just get right into it. We're going to start with how to diagnose the meta, because I think that's first and foremost the thing, right?
Yeah, the first thing you have to do when, like, one of the first things you need to know when you're making your deck choice, right? Your deck can't be bad into greater than 50% of the meta, for sure.
Right.
Right? So I think the first thing that like I like to do, something me and you talk about a lot, is like what's winning or what's just being played everywhere. We spend a lot of times in our group chat just messaging each other like random lists that won a new type challenge, even if it had like 6 people. Mm-hmm. We want to know what could be played. Maybe there's something we're missing, but it's also a deck that could be played at the regional.
Correct.
So I think it's really big. Like today there was a random post for a Sum event in Japan.
Yep.
And they had crazy decks that I don't think would have ever been played in anywhere in the English meta. But now there are things that just got posted right before the regionals, which we now have to consider, right?
Because you don't know also who's going to run with that stuff. Yep. Like they could have seen those lists today and be like, oh, well, that was the light bulb for me.
Yeah, like
now I'm going to solve this thing.
Yeah,
like
someone was kind of fringe playing red-white at a locals, never topping it, but they just randomly see a deck that supposedly won an event. They're like, oh, great, okay, I've locked in, now I'm playing this list.
Yeah. So I think that stuff matters. A good resource for this is Eggman Events. If you guys watch me, I'm sure you've seen Eggman by now. Can't recommend looking at his tournament reports enough.
Very strong.
That's the data, you know?
Yep.
That's the stuff you want because, excuse me, that information is what I'm factoring into my decisions. Like, I mean, and what's so great too is we get 1 week of. Yep. Eggman's having a big event, 64-man event this week. I believe it's Wednesday or Tuesday. Forgive me if I got that wrong. But it's really good because we get that information right before Bandai Fest. And some players are probably going to try out things they want to play at Bandai Fest and things of that nature. But it's also just one more tournament to get a feel. Like, is green-white the most played deck in a 64-man pod? That's pretty telling. It matters.
Yeah, like percentages can carry over. If green-white is taking 40 to 50% of a 64-man pod, it can take probably 30 to 40 of the regional pod. So that's something to definitely consider. Like looking at percentages, and it also helps like cater like what you're going to test into, or what you should be testing into, so to speak.
And I think Ben just set up a perfect segue into the next subject, how to test for regionals. Yep. So I think first you have to kind of take in all that metagame data. What's the most played decks? What am I comfortable with, you know, going into that meta? Yep. And then you kind of need to start like working on that deck choice and testing that against that most played deck, and probably testing that most played deck because it helps to be on both sides.
Correct.
That's something I can't stress enough. There's some people I know who'll just lock into one deck and they'll be fantastic at that deck, but they won't always know like what was the optimal play for their opponent when maybe they could have played around something or prevented something even.
I agree. I think that like you regardless of whatever deck you take to the event, having reps, even if they're very minimal, on every meta deck is very, very, very important, because you can like you just said, you know what they can do or what they're most likely to do. Not just the best play into this, but what is the most likely play for them to do. And it can help dictate what you want to do or what they want you to do, type of thing, which can help streamline your plays.
Yeah, and then another thing to think about when you're testing is like tech cards and their importance into the meta versus like maybe what your deck's objective is even. So for this example, I'm just gonna use red-blue. If I wanted to tech in Sinanju in full frontal, am I teching in 3 of each or 2 of each? And also, what is it giving me that my deck doesn't already have, right? So it has high maneuver, it's a big unit with full frontal, it's a 7/6. Those are insane stats. So like my deck could use that because it's very much lower to the ground as a red-blue player. So, and it also pings 2 damage when it goes into life with high maneuver.
Which all will do.
And sometimes there comes a point to that game where like, oh, they just blockered up and I don't have enough Amuros, so what can I do? You know what I mean? And I'm trying to make unit math to where I have more units than they have blockers, and that's where we've gotten to.
That's where we are, but now you can just drop a high maneuver.
But now Sinanju could just get right through that.
Yep.
So first off, we've established the value of the tech card, so that's good. Now we can try it, because we've given it merit, if you will. So in the testing, you need to see what is this 2/2 line of Sinanju doing into green-white, let's say. Am I better off having that in the late game versus just having these lower cost bodies that could have maybe already had won the game by the point a Sinanju could even come out? Like, and how often is Sinanju getting that value into that matchup? If I'm saying that's the most played deck versus then, you know, what's the value in the mirror? You can't just say, oh, this, you know, 4 cards is just so good for green-white, I'm gonna play it for green-white, without ever trying it into the mirror or trying it into blue-green or blue-white, you know, all these decks.
You have to play every tech choice. If you make changes to your list, it should be tested into every single meta deck possible.
Right.
Like you need to run the gauntlet, right? It's something that me and you do. We'll play one deck. One of us will just play like green-white or blue-red or blue-white into every single meta deck, just to see what works, what doesn't work. We'll make changes, then rerun all the games again, because we need to know if those choices are correct, not just for the intended matchup, but it doesn't like lose percentage points against the other matchups as well, to like what you were alluding to.
And something like a Sinanju where it creates like a 2/2 line would be 4 cards with full frontal. It's different than me saying, oh, Unforeseen Incident is really good into Unicorn, because Unforeseen Incident will always have value in my hand. So it's like, yeah, I can run that Unforeseen for that one matchup, but it's not a useless card in everything else either. And it's also a one of where it's like, I won't probably ever be mad at seeing it, and it also has a useful burst. Like these are, you gotta think about everything, like
every single possible. You can't cut a card like for example, a Sinanju, a full frontal package that probably like if you're adding a 2/2 line, you have 2 burst cards. Now if you cut things that don't have burst, or if you're cutting things with burst and you're like the plus or minus like how many, that number goes down, that factors into your ratios, and it just becomes a nightmare.
And we'll just take it one step further. If I'm putting Sinanju and full frontal in there, I probably have to change up my Kshatriya of vanillas because I want the full frontal.
You play Zeons.
And
whatever they
I can play Zeons off of it, but Kshatriya can also be paired with it. The vanilla one can.
Oh, true. So every new type. That's smart.
Correct.
Things I never thought about.
So it would be a 5/6, which is, as we know, fantastic stats. So then it changes other aspects of my deck list. So then instead of Anksha, am I playing the 4/3 Xeon Pinger that's a 2/4 stat, because it could be played off of that full frontal as well.
It sounds like you've thought
about it. So now I'm getting
lot.
Pre-ping damage. But this is I have thought about it. But this is an example of how you have to like start navigating a deck list based on one tech choice even.
Correct.
Because now it's changing everything.
Correct. Like I think there's a difference in when you just said a tech choice versus a different deck.
Yeah, because now it's becoming that, right?
Correct, right? Like, and there's a difference between making a tech, which is like a 2-card difference of like adding 2 unforeseen incidents in green-white, unforeseen incidents, in green-white, versus adding a full frontal line, which now alters other cards in your deck, which does change your ultimate, and maybe not change game plan, but changes like your 50.
Yep. And these are those things that you would need to test to see what the value is. Like, is my red blue worth shifting over into that Sinanju package and this heavier Xeon stuff, as opposed to cheaper things like Anksha that would only cost 2 naturally and in lower body units. And these are the decisions that you can kind of like force through a game to see their value.
Yeah, I think it's very important. Is just like I can't stress enough this testing into everything and testing every single little tech choice into everything when you're making these decisions, and not just saying, I'm going to play this card for this matchup, because you can't guarantee it. It's very likely that if you're going to make a tech for green-white, you're probably going to play against at least 2 to 3.
Yeah.
But you can't just ignore the rest of the meta. And you can't just waste time like not testing into it, because if you're only testing into one deck, for example, like that's green-white, and you don't know your blue-white matchup, you don't know your blue-green matchup, you don't know your mirror matchup if you're playing red-blue for this example, you just are kind of, not that you're wasting your testing, you're just limiting yourself and making yourself less prepared.
Well, and also you want to know like the value of those tech choices or anything like that into every matchup, because it also affects your mulligan.
Yes.
Now you're getting into mulligan stuff too, because I could open with that card, and do I need to keep it for this matchup or do I need to send it back? You know, now we're getting into that territory where it's already affecting, you know, what I call turn 0 of the game.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Mulligan's a whole other conversation, I think, and that can go into.
But that's something you start to test.
Correct, right? Like, is this capable? Is not capable? But something you says like, oh, is it good into this matchup? But we never know matchups in this game.
Right.
Which makes every mulligan super hard.
Which kind of brings me to the next thing I want to talk about. You said we don't know our matchups in this game. What's interesting is that a regional, for probably the first, I'd say 2 to 3 rounds, you probably won't know what you're playing against. But then by round 4, right, we'll just say there's maybe 20, 30, 40 undefeateds around you, right? You're going to start seeing the people next to you playing, especially as you go further and further and further. It is wise in a game like Gundam, where you open blind, meaning you don't know what you're up against by board state and by the game. Like, the game doesn't allow you to know. It's important to look around what's being played next to you, because there's a good chance as you keep on going, you're going to play against those people.
Yeah. Whether you win or lose that round, the people in your vicinity are probably either winning or losing their respective matches, which means you have a high likelihood to play against them.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So like scouting is what a lot of people will talk about, and like whether it will be frowned upon, not frowned upon, is going to be something of a huge debate regardless.
I don't know that it matters. Like, you can frown upon it, I guess, but like at the end of the day, there's nothing. If I'm playing blue-green, right? Could you not say that's a strength of my deck? That I get to finish my match first, and then I can go watch other people's games?
I completely agree. I think that is a strength, right, of aggro decks in Gundam at least, because if you finish your match, whether you won or lost, you know, and then you have time to spectate, right?
Yeah.
So that does give you somewhat of an advantage if you can help like spectate your, like if you're winning, like you're 4, 5, 6 or no, then you can see the other dozen people or so what they're on to help you know what you could possibly be playing against.
Right. I'm not going to talk about the whole like, I guess, clan mentality of it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have a team and they're scouting for me. I'm just saying the individual player themselves. I think that's something to think about, is that like, if I'm playing blue-white and I'm going to time, I'm never knowing what I'm up against.
Yeah, you're kind of SOL. You're just sitting there like, I'm gonna mulligan like I'm playing aggro every single match.
Yeah.
And that's just gonna be it.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah. That's a fine strat.
I saw Live Earth, I'm gonna keep my hand.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do think there's merit to think about those things, especially if you're going into this regional this week, playing something like a blue-green or a red-blue-ping. Like, don't just use that time when you're done with your match to just go hang with friends or anything like that. Like, take a minute to look around you. Like, it's super important, actually.
Yeah, it is important to know what you're going to play into, because it can dictate your turn 0 technically.
Yeah.
It's just, again, like, cannot stress enough, like, I don't know if this will be something that will be frowned upon by like the tournament organizers or things like that. True. Which is it becomes a whole other gray area, and what they'll allow. Maybe they'll allow no spectating versus spectating and things like that. Just things I think about when I'm actively judging these events. Like, I've had no spectating happen before, right?
And that's not uncommon to see. Like, I've seen it at many One Piece events. Like, oh, you guys have to be behind this line to watch.
Yep.
You know, that's pretty common.
The tables, you finish your round, you're picked up. A judge will ask you to leave and clear the aisle, so you can't even spectate.
Yeah.
So it's going to dictate a lot.
And when I say this, I kind of mean like respectfully, of course. Like,
yeah,
I can, excuse me, I can get up from the table and look around me, literally.
Yeah.
And just I can see colors, right?
Yep.
And that's what matters. That's what I needed to see.
Yeah, exactly. You saw a face.
I'm not trying to get someone's deck list like locked in here into this one game going on. That's not what I mean when I say scout.
Exactly. You saw a person in a one-piece shirt with a backwards hat and they had red blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like,
I got that much information.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that can kind of help me if I happen to sit across from them. Yeah.
Correct. And that's all I mean by scouting. And that's why I mean like it shouldn't necessarily be frowned upon that my deck goes so fast that I have that advantage to look at that.
Correct. Yeah. Like I don't think speed will be frowned upon, just more so the act of scouting. And I just like it is one of those things where it's like if this will ever become a thing, that's just like an unfortunate thing to this game being best of one.
It is. Like in best of 3, I wouldn't even worry.
I wouldn't care as much.
I wouldn't even like,
No.
I mean, I'll just naturally look to my left and right. I think that's just like old school Pokemon things even. Like
I think it's just being
when it
bored.
was a best of 1, because Pokemon used to be.
Really?
Yeah. So I would look right and left just naturally and just so I still do that. Like even One Piece where I know the leader, I still
It's like, oh, you're still playing that? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Leader didn't
like-
change. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's just like it's just natural. But in like Lorcana, I mean, you just don't even need it. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's like best of 2, best of 3.
I think
like,
things like that. I think that's just like it's because best of one, this becomes a thing rather than it being a thing because it's Gundam.
correct. And then lastly, I want to talk about the actual event itself. How do you deal with the hype, the energy, the fatigue? And I mean, some people have rituals. I really don't. I personally try to get a good night of sleep sometimes. Sometimes I suck at that and I'll go party or something. Not the best advice there.
Yeah.
Though it has worked for me. Once again, not trying to tell you to do anything.
Casino.
Yeah, I've had casino nights before tournaments, but the best ones are always definitely where like especially at nationals, I always did this, and a big regional for sure. I have a good meal with friends, keep everything super light, just have a good time, make sure the vibes are good, and then I just kind of try to get a good night's rest. Go in the next morning with good vibes so that like I'm alert, I'm thinking through everything, and I'm not like, I think the biggest advice I would give is to not have a negative headspace.
I agree.
Like even with the loss, like, okay, it's card games. Like even if you messed up, like, okay, do I now know why I messed up? Do I know how I moved on? Okay, cool, fixable, moving on.
Yep.
Like, because I won't do it again now.
Yep.
Like, that's what I would tell myself. And that positivity is like literally everything, because I've seen people just go full tilt and literally lose a run because they made one mistake, where they might have been the best person in the room for the first 6 rounds and they were 6-0, but they made that one mistake and then they lost the next 3.
Yeah, it's like you lost the Sakazuki mirror, then you lost, and then you just
I
fell
mean,
out.
I did tilt it at that match. Yeah, I was 6-0. Yeah, that happened because my buddy told me. So we'll use the example. It's really good.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to reference yourself, honestly, because I was like, oh,
But I have
just
done
a story.
it. It's a good example. So I was 6-0 at Nats, the first ever One Piece Nats. I was crushing. I played a great Sakazuki mirror with this guy that I knew from actually Pokemon cards, and that was another thing. Like I haven't seen this kid in 15 years.
Crazy.
His name is Ben Sock. Good guy. Him and his brother were playing One Piece at the time, and I was like, no shit. He was like, Garrett Farrington from Pokemon? And I go, Sock, why does your name sound so familiar? He goes, dude, we played at Worlds. And I was like, oh, wow, that's so cool. So anyways, we had this really good match, and it's super, super tight. And I mean, like, we have 3 cards in our deck tight. Like Sakazuki was able to do things like that. Like,
Yep.
I mean, we're in time. Nothing, like time's not gonna be an issue though. Like we're gonna finish this game. We're literally both about to get there. And I was fishing for the card that could win me the game instead of being more cognizant of what my hand was, because I had enough 2Ks to where what I could have done was just a life available to where I could have taken the first one and then comboed out of everything else and then kind of won on the crackback. And I didn't do that, and instead I tried to get the one card that I knew I had in my like 5-card deck was still there because I looked through my discard to just try to win the game then, instead of like really being thoughtful about what like was my combo in hand.
I see.
And I let that moment get to me because I didn't even realize, I shake him. I was like, that was a great game. That was awesome. I couldn't find my card in my deck. And then my buddy Evan is like, Garrett, you had enough 2Ks. And I'm like, wait, did I really? And I do the math and I'm like, oh man, I missed like the most simple thing.
Yeah.
And it's like after that, I did tilt. I lost my next game, and then and then I lost my next game, then I won my last 2, and then it ended a round early.
Yep.
So I was on the bubble. So that being around early was really big. And, you know, maybe if I just would have taken that first loss better and turned one of those losses to a wins, I would have even been on the bubble to begin with.
Yeah,
You
you
know what
would have
I
made day 2 and it would have been a whole different line, right?
Correct. So, and I think those things are important, you know, and I learned from that experience.
Exactly.
You know, from that experience, I still, to this day, like, I just handle it a lot better, you know? Even when, like, this isn't to sound cocky or arrogant, but even when you've won a lot of events, I don't know if you guys can see it, there's like a bunch of trophies back there. But even when you've won a lot of events, you can't go into a game thinking like you deserve to win or you're going to win.
Correct.
Because when you go with that mindset, you have set yourself up to be tilted.
Yes.
To fail, literally, because you're like, oh, I was supposed to win, when really you weren't. You know, it's a card game. There's, you know, a bunch of variables, a lot of variation of things that can even happen, and you could have just played wrong or played a bad game.
Yeah,
and all those things happen.
Exactly. Like everything, you're a human, you can make mistakes. You know, card games is a true variance at times. Like sometimes you just don't see it. Like you didn't see your 1 in 20% chance, right? So I think that's just like a huge thing to consider. Like you might be like the best player in the room, but that does not mean you're the best on that day.
Yep. And it's really important to just have the correct mentality, you know, and for my mentality might not be best for everyone else. Maybe for someone, it's like they work at like supreme confidence when they do think they're the best player in the room, you know, or maybe that's where they need to come from. For me, it's like I need to like bring myself down and stay grounded, because then I just play really free. And I'm also a very gut player.
Instinctual.
Very, very much so. Like I will say, you know what? I don't think you have that card in your hand. I'm going to play like you don't. And if you don't, I know I win next turn.
Yep.
And I'll make plays like that all the time, especially when I'm really cooking on a run.
Yeah, because like it's the only way. Like again, identifying a win condition is very big. So it's like, if they don't have it, I just win the game. And if they do have it and they had it regardless, I probably lost.
Where instead I'm like trying, you know, extend the game 4 turns and hope I draw into this one card that I have left in my like, no, I'm just gonna put you on it, and but I'll identify when to make that when I'm really feeling good on a run. And for me, like I said, it's just staying free, staying grounded. Works the best for me, you know, and I think it's different for everyone. I really do.
Yeah, like for me, I kind of like somewhat walk in. Like I'll in between matches, I'll go talk to a couple people, but I'll usually just like put some headphones in and walk around, just kind of like listen to like random like lo-fi music, just because of like I just want to stay in the game, because if I get distracted, I might not go into the next match like in the right headspace.
You're also a big rethinker too.
Oh yeah, I'll
replay the whole game.
Replay the whole game, know what I did right or wrong, and know what will work and not.
I mean, even when we test, you do.
Oh yeah,
like,
I can play our games over again.
Yeah, and that's a big thing I think too, is like whatever keeps you in that zone of being ready to play and being like open to your lines available. Like to use my nationals example, I was too locked into like winning with that one card that I didn't see this other win con, and that was like huge. That was huge.
No, I mean it can happen to anyone. I think it's like the key thing, but like always like going back to this point of this section is like going in the right headspace. Whether that's like making sure you're getting a good night's sleep, you're drinking enough water, you don't eat anything crazy the night before that can make you sick. Like I know they sound so dumb and so simple, but like not everyone does it, and it's like very small things that can like you're gonna be grinding literally for like 10 hours on that day. You're gonna get up early, maybe earlier than you normally do for your day job, depending what you do. You're in a different environment. Your body gets tired because you're naturally like trying to think for that long.
And it's like you're taking a test you would have taken in high school or college, but like 9 times a
it's like sitting for the SAT, ACT all over again, right?
Yeah.
Is any board exam for any licensing thing, and depending on your career, it's like that stressful.
Yeah.
It feels on your body.
Well, not only that, but like you're really trying to think of every line. You're trying to, you know, be on top of your game, you know, and this isn't to sound scary either. It's just like, that's the fun, if anything, to me, is
that's why
like,
you play competitive.
Yeah, that's exactly why you play competitive. It's the fun of it all, is navigating that. But I just think it's important to make you aware of like, if you haven't been to these regionals, how to approach them. And then if you have been to regionals, just like, maybe these are the kind of things that maybe have been holding you back. You know, maybe you do really well and you start out 5-0 and then you kind of bomb, you know?
You pull the Garrett.
Yeah, you pull the Garrett, you know? I've done it. And then there's other times where like you can have a great match and then that momentum will carry you on to like winning the whole tournament, you know? And I've had those moments, and those feel great.
Those feel great.
So I think it's just navigating your day well and just setting yourself up for success. You know, it's basic stuff at the end of the day. Like, you know what to do, get good sleep, like,
Yeah,
what do you think?
it's reinforcing good habits.
Yeah. And then just let the energy carry you. Like, it's a vibe.
Yeah, I mean, enjoy the time too, because these events don't happen often.
Yeah, especially Bandai Fest. Usually in the States, we get 2 a year.
Yep.
And that's something I look forward to.
They're awesome events to
Yeah.
go to, like we said in the beginning.
So that's really what we're here to talk about today, was that. And I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say on them.
My one question for you would be, if you had one take-home thing, viewers are going to listen to, like, the kind of fast forward the whole video until the very end. What is the one thing that is the most important thing for preparation?
I think it's the testing. I really do. I think it's because once you've identified the meta, and that can be like literally 30 minutes on Eggman events, you can pretty much say, oh, this is the most played deck, then it's this, and it's this, and it's this. I know based on what I've played, I feel the most comfortable with this deck. It's testing to get your ratios right. Because that 1 unforeseen or 3 unforeseen, or maybe you cut 2 unforeseen for a 3 striker packs, those little things that seem so little can be the biggest things.
Yep.
So I think it's testing with purpose.
Yes.
That's the best way to say it.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Purposeful or intentful testing.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the guy who plays red, white, Zaft in your friend group, it's really awesome. You might win. You can't say the deck.
You're not helping your friends.
You're not helping your friends. You're taking 2% of the total population. It might be really nice of you to also play blue, white, or green, white into them, so they can have like an equivalent testing. So they're also somewhat prepared. Even if you don't play it the best, just also like be able to share the pool. Like, me and you will swap all the time. Yep. But trying to swap decks to also share, because it also benefits you to know the play lines. But also, you probably just help them guarantee a win against the first red, white, Zaft player they played.
Yeah.
But also, like, being able to share the pool there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking the question, because I think if I had to sum it up, I would say purposeful test.
Purposeful testing, I think, is the most important.
Because you really got to put those card choices through the ringer, you know, and you gotta boil it down to, yep, I feel totally comfortable that I'm only playing 1.
Yep.
You know, because that's a different decision. Because, like, if you're going into that tournament thinking, I don't know if I'm making the right call, you're already not in that headspace that I was speaking of.
You need to be confident in your 50.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what we got for you guys today. If you guys are going to Bandai Fest, we will be there.
Yep.
Ben will be there. He'll be judging for One Piece.
Yep. Yeah, I will unfortunately not be playing Gundam, but still in the vicinity. Come find me. Come say hi to Garrett and I.
And I'll be playing Gundam. So I'll be there all weekend for that, guys. And once again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. And Ben, thanks for being here today as always. And see you guys at Bandai Fest.